episode of the Afterburners podcast. Morning, April 17th, 2018. I'm your host, Sam Wiedemeyer, and with me is the beautiful, as always beautiful, and as always great with the Daily Show music, Mr. Bobby Kosh. How are you?
Actually, I haven't watched the Daily Show enough lately. I haven't really watched since Jon Stewart left, so that wasn't my best impression of their music, but I'm doing well. It's a cloudy, gross day in New York City, but I shouldn't talk too much about the weather because I know the two guys we have with us are having it a little worse than I am.
And with us, as always, one of those guys, Mr. Mike Jarvis. Mike, you snowed in, brother?
No, I made it out. I did get stuck in my parking lot at work as soon as I got to work. I was like, well, that's how this day is going to go today. So that was pretty shitty. And then I came home to a leaky basement, so that was even shittier.
Yeah, a bunch of flooded basements recently.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I kind of expected it. We had a really bad flood in our house about a year ago or so.
And the Afterburners pod is becoming Mike's driving issues and basement flooding pod.
/ weather.
Yeah.
I don't know. I expected it today, so I wasn't that perturbed. It's not super bad today, but more annoying than anything, but we'll get through it.
We got a special guest today. So we're pretty excited. He's actually not even going to talk about football. He's actually just going to give us more weather woes. He's coming from Wisconsin. I forget where in Wisconsin. Milwaukee?
I completely forgot.
Yeah, I forgot to ask. I'm sorry. I did a terrible job as a host already. But he is the co-host of the Superflex podcast, writes for the Dynasty Football Factory. You can find him over at DFF_ James Koutoulas. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good, man. Thank you guys for having me. I'm pumped. And no, you're not too far off with Milwaukee. I'm about 45 minutes south of there, right on the Milwaukee-Illinois border. So, pretty cool place to be, the Wisconsin-Illinois border, because we got a lot of Packer fans, a lot of Bear fans, lots of Cub fans, lots of Brewers fans. So, yeah, it's kind of a cool place to be for sports, at least. Not so much for weather.
I 100% guessed on the city because literally Milwaukee is the only thing. Milwaukee and Madison is the only thing.
Green
Bay. Green Bay. True. Yeah. Good. Thanks, Mike.
So, James, today's episode is very Brown-centric, and we're having you on as a fan. Based on what you're just saying, it must be pretty lonely being a Browns fan in Wisconsin, huh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It can be brutal, I'm telling you, because you get it from both sides. Bears fans see it. Oh, man, well, I guess it could be worse. We could be Browns fans. Like, oh, all right. And then Packer fans who are, whining and complaining when Aaron Rodgers is hurt. And I'm like, man, I'll take that. I'll take that. Give me that situation. I'm fine with it. So, yeah, it can be brutal.
So, how much snow did you get this weekend? You have to tell. We were talking about this before the episode. You have to tell everyone.
Yeah, we got, it depends on the area of Wisconsin you're in, but we got about 26.2 inches over the weekend. Yeah, and so it's been brutal. But it's Wisconsin, man. We're kind of used to it, just not this late in the year. But, I mean, a few years ago, someone had to explain to me what a snow day was. We don't have those. Yeah, it was a foreign concept to me for many years of my life. So, yeah, we just kind of, by the time I was heading to work, man, the roads were plowed and we were ready to go. So just another day here, I guess. But, yeah, it was a brutal weekend, though.
Mike, how much snow do you get on average?
I don't know. In like the dead of winter, nowadays, we probably get 2 feet. Well, no, that's a lie. We probably get about, in the dead of winter, at its high point, probably 5 to 8 feet.
I'd be interested to see who gets more snow, Wisconsin or Kitchener, Ontario. Is it Ontario?
Yeah, you got that right.
A good guess.
Wow,
all right.
Good job.
So the weather portion of this episode is officially over. We're going to talk some football, boys.
Well, there's a nice little segue there, right? Because, we're going to talk about who the Browns are taking at number one pick, and particularly QBs. And Josh Allen, everyone's talking about, he threw in the snow. So Josh Allen is going out to Wisconsin. He's throwing in this 26 inches of snow, proving he's got a big arm. Maybe he's swinging a Pringle can, as Sam likes to say too. But
Pringles can down the pants, brother.
We're excited to talk with James about what he thinks the Browns are going to do. And this is a very Cleveland-centric episode for us, which I don't know how many people have listened since season 1. but they might be shocked we're talking about Cleveland again, just because Sam.
Your first burn was the city of Cleveland, if you remember correctly. We burned the city of Cleveland. I don't even know why. And I think I went to like Cleveland the following weekend for a wedding.
We went to a wedding there.
Yeah.
It's because we were talking about you going to a wedding there, and I said, why?
That's probably very accurate. Why? I mean, I didn't choose the wedding venue, obviously, but I did go.
Yeah.
I think it was our very first episode. Like Bobby said, we got a great show for you guys. We got, obviously, James Koutoulas from Dynasty Football Factory is with us. Mike Jarvis, as usual. Guys, go ahead. Mike, why don't you start us off? Tell us about you, and then we'll get started right into our Cleveland-centric show today.
Yeah, guys, you can find me on Twitter at Mike Jarvis. I'm not up to too much right now, watching the NHL playoffs and watching the Leafs lose, hopefully, and that's about it. James, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. You can find me at DFF_the brain. Yeah, and I'm kind of watching the NHL playoffs too. However, I root against all things Boston, so sorry, I'm kind of rooting for the Leafs to come back, but it's probably not going to happen, so we're good.
Probably.
You can find me at Wrecked Fantasy, and as of today, my league name in one of my leagues is Tough Guy. So I'm just trying to be a tough guy by calling myself Wrecked. Get wrecked, and over to you, Sam.
He's the nicest guy on Twitter. His name is Bobby Koch, Mr. Wrecked Fantasy, guys. I am at the Needy One. You can find us at Afterburners Pod. Don't forget to subscribe and download and review on iTunes. That way, every new episode that comes out comes right into your earbuds on your morning commute. So, we have a Cleveland fan here, notorious after we have destroyed Cleveland on this show on multiple occasions. James, I got a quick question for you. Who's your favorite Cleveland quarterback of all time? And now, when I say all time, I like 1999 on, or whenever they moved back into whenever the expansion team after they moved to Baltimore. Who's your favorite quarterback since then?
Oh man, okay. Boy, that's a good one. I tell you what, Browns have made the playoffs once since then, and I remember the game very, very clearly. We ended up losing that playoff game to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was a high-scoring game, and Kelly Holcomb was the quarterback. So I'm going to say Kelly Holcomb just because he wasn't the quarterback for long, but we had a really good year that year, and I remember Kelly Holcomb being a big reason why. So that's my answer, Kelly Holcomb to Dennis Northcutt. That was the combo that year.
If you guys could pick one quarterback from the Cleveland Browns during a span, like who would you like? Who would be your guy? Like who would be your number one quarterback? What do you think, Mike?
I'm
partial to Johnny Manziel.
Just buys them all, so I will go with Tim Couch.
So I would go with Brian Hoyer. Hoyer the Destroyer is one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation. And the Browns were silly to let him go anywhere else because he would have just destroyed the league had he stayed with the Browns.
Didn't he do well, James? Wasn't he like good?
He was okay. He was okay. I think we had a bunch of those guys who were okay, like Derek Anderson. He was okay. And Kelly Holcomb was okay. We even had Jeff Garcia for a little bit. He was okay. Trent Dilfer, okay. We just had a bunch of okay guys. So, yeah, that was the best we did was he's okay. So,
what about the GOAT, Cody
Pfizer?
Yeah, what happened to Cody Kessler? He was playing so well. Yes, he was a game manager, but he was playing well.
Yeah, I never really had a problem with Cody Kessler. I don't think he was ever kind of given a fair shake, but well, this coaching staff is losing more and more trust from me, and that's the whole thing with Kaiser too. So I'm just going to go ahead and just pin it on the coaching staff because I'm pretty sure that they're just going to ruin anything they get their hands on. But that's me being the optimistic Browns fan I am. So,
well, the good news is you might have a chance to change your opinion after that first question because the Browns have the number 1 overall pick this year. Now, there's a 2-part question here. One, who do you want if you're going to take a quarterback? And it sounds like the Browns are going to take a quarterback at 1. Who do you want them to take, or who do you think they will take? We'll start with the first one. Who do you want the Browns to take?
Man, that's a really good question because I've been back and forth on this, but I want the Browns to take Josh Rosen. I think he's the best quarterback in this class. I think he comes in the most ready to play right away. His fundamentals are fantastic. I mean, everything's smooth, accurate. He played in a pro-style offense. He played under center. His footwork is good. His release is good. I mean, everything is pretty good for him. I mean, yeah, he does have a few things that he needs to work on. He's also going to have to work on reads, going through his progressions a little bit. But I think that he's the most NFL ready guy coming into the league, and I kind of want that guy. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm not banking on potential with the number one spot. I'm going to go with the safe guy that I know can become a starting quarterback in this league, and that's Rosen for me.
Yeah, James also just wants to see me cry when they select Rosen.
Oh my God! Yeah, it wouldn't even be you crying, because you wouldn't cry very long, because I would post a video on Twitter of me doing cartwheels, and that's not going to be pretty, but it'll at least put a smile on your face for a little bit, Bobby. So yeah, I would
honestly be too busy crying to even see your cartwheels. I'd probably get off Twitter for like at least 2 weeks if that were to happen.
Now, Mike, Baker Mayfield's your boy.
Correct.
What happens if he lands in Cleveland? What are you doing? Are you doing cartwheels?
I'm not doing cartwheels. I'm going to be a little upset because I'm not a Browns fan and I like Baker a lot. I think Baker could have some success there. He's got Landry, he's got Coleman, he's got Njoku, he's got I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, don't forget Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon, maybe.
So he's got some weapons, and the potential's there. I'd just be more upset than anything that I'd have to kind of somewhat cheer for the Browns, because I do want to support Baker and I do want to see him do well in the NFL. So yeah, more than anything, I would just be upset that I have to, legitimately kind of root for the Browns.
James talks about getting it from fans in Wisconsin, and he comes on our podcast and we just lay into his fandom.
Ouch, man. Ouch. You know what? I am a huge hockey fan, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm going to be able to drink any Canada Dry or anything, for a little bit after this episode, Mike. I don't know.
Labatt Blue too.
Yeah. Go drown your sorrows in Labatt Blue and you'll be fine.
So you talk Josh Rosen. Is that like, so when you talk about number one quarterback, that's also your favorite quarterback coming out?
Yeah, it is. It is. I'll be honest with you, and this is kind of where Bobby and I disagree a little bit. I have Sam Darnold ranked pretty closely. My problem with Sam Darnold is he's not in my opinion, he's not the as polished a product as Josh Rosen is coming out. I do think his upside is high, though, and I also think that he has some of the intangibles that John Dorsey looks for. His escapability is really good. It's an underrated part of his game. He's able to extend plays. His arm strength is adequate enough, but he's really pretty mobile in the pocket. And so I think that's something that John Dorsey looks for too in some of his quarterbacks. So I think that might be a decent match. But yeah, I do have Josh Rosen as my number one quarterback, but it's pretty close with him and Darnold.
Yeah, that's completely fair. For me with Darnold, I think he's going to take a bit longer to develop than some of the other quarterbacks, and it's just because he's so young. It's also, he has a tendency, as you know, or as most people who've watched his games know, to make some really boneheaded throws, which isn't my favorite thing for a quarterback to do. I know some people have said, oh, he could become like Matthew Stafford, who used to just kind of sling it and became more of a thrower. And it's not something that he can't develop. It's just my second-rated guy, who I have very close to Josh Rosen, is Baker Mayfield. But I love pretty much everything about Baker Mayfield. It's just I have an unexplainable love of Josh Rosen. Someone said today, if Josh Rosen came out and was a terrible quarterback, would I still support him? And I said, absolutely.
Well, it's not unexplainable.
Well, it's not just because he's Jewish, guys.
That's what it is.
No.
That's what it is.
No. Listen.
I was hoping we were going to get to that. Yeah, that's.
No.
It seems like it plays a big part of it, though, right?
That's a small part of it. I'm not going to lie. It's a small part of it. But it's honestly, last week we talked about QB handsomeness. Josh Rosen is pretty damn handsome. We talked earlier about
Rosen.
Yeah, he's pretty handsome.
You're putting Rosen up there with like Cam Newton. We want to.
No, he's not as handsome as Cam Newton or Jimmy GQ, but he's pretty handsome. He has some of the best It's really his mechanics. I just look at his game and I love his mechanics. So I don't know. There's just something about the way he throws that speaks to my heart.
So you said Rosen's your optimal at number one. Is that who the Browns are going to take?
I wish. It's more.
We understand you're not speaking for all of Cleveland and for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, right on. For me, it's more wishful thinking than anything because I do believe that John Dorsey sees a few intangibles in Rosen and Allen that make them a little bit more appeasing. But I really think Sam Darnold's going to be the pick, and not just because that's kind of the popular consensus right now. The one thing I just want to say, I got to get this off my chest. I believe so little of what I hear during this time of the year. And I think it's funny when people go, "Oh, well, the Browns they're taking Josh Allen because this guy, this well-known draft Nick guy said that he heard from an informant that Jimmy Haslam's dog walker that's who they're leaning towards." I don't believe any of that stuff. But that being said, I think Sam Darnold just kind of has some of the attributes that John Dorsey would like. And I think it would also kind of be a good scheme fit with what our new offensive coordinator, Todd Haley, would like to see a quarterback do. He also kind of has a little bit of the build of Big Ben. I mean, he's a bigger, thicker type quarterback, and he's good at escaping the pocket, and he can make plays with his feet as well as his arms. So I think it's a match there. So I kind of think that that's going to be the pick.
James, because you're a superhero fan, just something you said there reminded me of Ant-Man. You saw that one, right? Just to confirm.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you remember when his friend says like, "Oh, yeah, my cousin's sister's girlfriend's roommate, blah, 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 said this, and we should do this job." That's sometimes how I feel when they're like, "Oh, my inside source says that Josh Rosen is falling down draft boards because of durability concerns." You probably know as much as that guy's girlfriend's cousin's roommate, whatever, dog walker.
Yeah, absolutely, man, and that's the way I feel. And not just that, but even if you are getting information from an insider or from somebody in the know, I mean, who knows what teams are actually putting out there just so that way it gets out there. I mean, we know teams do that, especially in this situation. Cleveland has 1 and 4. They may have a target at 4 that they want to fall to them. So maybe if they put out, hey, we're considering this guy, we're considering that guy, maybe that kind of helps them get the player, that they want at 4. So I don't know. To me, it just seems like it's total, like you never know. You never know. The only time you ever know is when that team actually announces, hey, we're working, we're going to take this guy at number 1. And that only happens at number 1. It only happens, part of the time. And I don't think this is a situation where it will. So I think it'll make for an interesting draft day.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Give the people of I don't know who's their GM?
John Dorsey.
Oh, Dorsey. That is right. Tell Dorsey right now one reason why Josh Allen should not be the number 1 overall pick.
Well, aside from the fact that he's just not the best quarterback, the reason Josh Allen should not be the number 1 pick is because if you want Josh Allen as your franchise-altering quarterback, you can pick him at 4 and not have to pick him at 1. I can guarantee you Josh Allen would still be on the board at 4. You could go out, you could get Chubb, you could get Barkley, you could get anybody else at 1 and not have to take Josh Allen at 4. So that's a waste of a pick.
So, guys, let's say that's right. Let's say Chubb goes 1, right? Or somebody else. Let's say Barkley goes 2. Let's say who we thinking Mayfield at 3?
Well,
or Rosen?
Chubb goes. So the one thing I've heard that I kind of believe is that the Giants do like Darnold. So if anyone that's not a quarterback goes 1, I'm pretty sure they take Darnold at 2.
I would agree with that.
So then at 4, let's say if Barkley's available, is it Barkley, James?
Well, I don't know. I think they're kind of.
Come on, man! You're speaking for the entire organization.
I think their backs are up against the wall, man. They got to take quarterback with one of those first 4 picks. So if they pass on 1, I think they have to take quarterback at 4. And if it's Allen, boy, that's going to be a tough sell, in my opinion, at that point. But I don't know. I don't put anything past the Browns. I've been scoring too many times come draft day, so I don't put anything past what they're going to do. But Mike, real quick, man, I just want to say what you just said. You just nailed it, man. The reason why you don't take Josh Allen number 1 is because the first thing you said, he's not the best quarterback in this draft, and that to me that's what you got to ask yourself if you're Cleveland. Like, am I taking the best player in the draft? Am I taking the best quarterback in this draft? And no, Josh Allen just isn't that guy.
He definitely isn't.
Well, good news for whoever ends up at quarterback weapon in Jarvis Landry. He signs a 5-year, $75 million contract. Quick, guys. Who knows how many targets Jarvis Landry had last year? Not off the top of your head. If you could just ballpark it.
127.
Oh, you're kind of close,
We're
actually.
doing Price is Right rules?
Sure.
All right, then I'll go 128 just to be a dick.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, man, I was going to say right around there. 135.
Yeah, 161.
I was going to go
Oh,
148.
Yeah, you
I
should
thought
know
it was
that.
higher, but I just wanted to be a jerk to Mike.
So Jarvis Landry has 112 catches off 161 targets. Doesn't break 1,000 yards. However, does score 9 touchdowns. Is that gonna? Well, let's talk about Tyrod Taylor for a second, James. You think he's gonna be the starter at the beginning of this year?
Yeah, I do. I think I think Cleveland evaluated the quarterback position and said our best bet is to take one of these guys and to let them sit, because I don't think any of them are, ready to just get thrown into the wolves. I think Josh Rosen is the most ready, but I still think all of them could benefit from a little bit of time behind, a veteran. And I think Tyrod Taylor is a perfect fit there. He can make plays with his legs. He can make plays with his arm. He can extend plays. And so I kind of like that. But the thing that I see a lot with Tyrod is he likes to use his tight ends, and he also will take that deep shot. So I don't know how that affects Landry, but I definitely like it for Josh Gordon. And I also think David Njoku is going to see an uptick in his targets as well. But maybe some of those go to Landry. So maybe that's kind of what ends up happening is instead of targeting the tight end, they use that slot receiver like Landry as a tight end. But I guess we'll see.
Well, you love Landry. Sell us on Landry. Sell us on Taylor having Landry.
First of all, Landry is, I believe, and I might be wrong about this because it's been a while since I looked it up, but I believe he's the only player in the first 4 seasons of his NFL career to average 100 receptions and 1,000 yards.
Did we talk about this in your bachelor party?
Yeah, we did. So Jarvis Landry was mentioned at my bachelor party when we were doing.
I think I won that question.
I like him a little less now. He's gone. It's not actually a knock against Cleveland. I think Cleveland is actually going to be good this year. And I say that because they have a decent offensive line. I like Tyrod Taylor. They have a ton of offensive weapons. The only concern for me really is Hugh Jackson, which James already touched on. But yeah, he's nodding. But Jarvis Landry is, I think he's still going to be very good. He'll probably be still, I don't know about a wide receiver 1 for fantasy purposes this year, but I could still see wide receiver 2 out of him. The other thing to keep in mind is Josh Gordon, I believe, for whatever reason, is a UFA next year instead of being an RFA because he's had a weird situation. So they could start targeting Landry as if he's the number 1, prepping just in case they want to get out from the headache that is Josh Gordon. And don't get me wrong, I love that he's on the football field. I love that he rehabilitated himself, and he's already a success to me. But I also know the organization has a checkered past with him, and they might be looking to move on from that.
And Taylor had 222.6 fantasy points. And again, we're using Addison Hayes, ffstatistics.com/app, the website he created. If you haven't, check it out. It's great. It's giving you all the information you need right there, very filterable. Anyways, he scored 222.6 fantasy points 2017. Good enough for a QB2. Do you think with Landry, with Gordon, and granted, the guy in Buffalo that sat behind him and played one game, Nate Pearson or whatever?
Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, that was the dumbest start ever. Doesn't have him behind him. Do you think Tyrod Taylor equals that? Less? More? What do you think?
Sorry, go ahead, James.
No, that's a really tough question. I would say he comes pretty close to equaling it, in my opinion.
Mike, what do you think?
I'm going to say he doesn't get it, only because I like James said, I expect Tyrod to start, but I don't think he'll be the starter by about week 5 or 6. I think we're going to see something like we saw with the Bears and Trubisky, who started on the bench, kind of got off to a rough start, and then they throw the rookie quarterback in, see what they got. So I think Tyrod, if he plays 16 games, I think he'll surpass it, but I don't think he'll play 16 games. So I'm going to go less than that.
So you think by like week 6, it's just going to be rookie quarterback time?
I do, yes.
So let's say then the second quarter. What about another quarterback that comes in after, right? Like, so you have Jarvis Landry and Josh Gordon. You have the rookie quarterback in right there. For those of us that are in like a taxi league, could you see starting a rookie quarterback with the Browns' weapons, James?
Yeah. I mean, and that's interesting. I definitely do feel. I feel like the Browns' weapons are, a huge upgrade for Tyrod, and I think anybody who lands in that situation and gets a start, I think is getting, a quarterback that is going to have, a number of weapons at their disposal. I mean, when Corey Coleman's your number 3, I think that's an awful nice, option to have there. My only hesitation is, the reason why I think Tyrod is a good fit here is because of the offensive line, and the Browns' offensive line is probably going to be average. It was above average. Because they had Joe Thomas, and with Joe Thomas retiring, that Joe Thomas retirement really hurt as a Wisconsin native, being that he was a former Badger and got drafted to Ohio, to Cleveland. But anyways, I mean that's a huge to replace. So I think Tyrod can actually make plays with his legs. Obviously, I think he's going to have to at times. So. I think if you're a rookie quarterback this year and you're starting for Cleveland and they don't address that tackle in the draft, which it isn't a great – I mean, there's some depth at tackle. It's just there's not a lot of high-end guys. There's not a lot of guys you can plug and play at the left tackle position. So I don't really know how they fix that anytime soon. So to me, it's tough. If you're going to get a rookie quarterback in there, they're going to have to be able to make plays with their feet, I think, and be able to throw on the run. They're going to do that the first year in Cleveland.
I know how you can fix that tackle position. You should trade the Giants one of your second or extra third round picks for Eric Flowers. I hear he's great.
Oh my God. I wouldn't give they would have to give me a third round pick to take Eric Flowers. All right. Man, that guy is terrible.
Yep. Completely fair. And we took him over Todd Gurley. Never forget.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's rough.
So I know people are probably listening to the podcast. You're looking on YouTube. I have this sweet shirt right here. It says, "Hey," it's the picture of The Rock. It's like, "What's up, jabronis?" Say, "Hey," with the Rock right here. He's got the eyebrow up. And Bobby and I remember on our first show, we were talking about The Rock running for president in 2020. We're like, "Oh, we would definitely vote for The Rock." So we're going to campaign for him. Speaking of campaigns, you campaign to the world right now that any of us should draft the Cleveland quarterback's QB for 2018 in any type of startup or any type of dynasty league. Pick them up off the waiver wire, James. Make the case. Sell us right now.
You got it. I'll lay the smack down so that way you guys know. Basically, the reason why you draft Tyrod Taylor is this. He's got – his weapons are elite. We've seen that. He can make plays with his feet, and he's always produced. He's always produced with less. Look at what he had in Buffalo. They had way less than what they're going to be surrounding him with in Cleveland. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Cleveland's defense is still a work in progress. They're going to have to throw. They play Pittsburgh twice. They're going to have to score points. I think Tyrod Taylor is going to be able to pass the ball an awful lot. He's going to get a lot of attempts. And also, don't discount what he gives you with his legs. I mean, the guy, he runs for 40, 50 yards a game. That's huge. I mean, that's what we need to look at for fantasy too. So not just his passing yards, also his rushing yards. The fact that he has a superior supporting cast than he's ever had really in his starting career gives me hope that Tyrod Taylor can be a low-end quarterback one this year.
Low-end QB1, I like it. You've sold me. So I'm going to vote for Tyrod Taylor. I'm going to vote for The Rock and hope that you all vote for The Rock as well.
Oh, I'm voting for The Rock.
Mike,
I don't get a vote, but I'll vote for The Rock.
You would definitely vote for The Rock. Oh, you're in Canada. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Maybe we could work out something where I'm trading a vote for like your Canadian Prime Minister and you can vote for The Rock. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's still a vote for The Rock, right? Yeah. Mike, are you drinking anything? You got any Labatt Blues right tonight?
No Labatt Blues tonight. Not yet, anyway.
No Molsons?
No Molsons. I just got done my dinner, so I had a lovely mug root beer.
Oh, very nice. The Tyrod Taylor of root beers.
These Tyrod Taylor root beers. We might get into some Labatt Blues later after the show. It is my day off tomorrow, so it might get a little late tonight. So
Are the Maple Leafs playing tonight?
They are. They're tied 2-2 right now. So.
Oh, very nice. Bobby, so we mentioned your bachelor party with that Jarvis Landry trivia.
Yeah.
We also brought something else up that we thought was really cool, and we're actually gonna segue into that. And I mentioned Tyrod Taylor as the mug root beer of quarterbacks. And well, why don't you tell the story? It's about the old fashions, right?
Yeah. I was at Passover dinner with my fiance's family, and I think it was her high school friend was mentioning that she thought I would like old fashions. And her brother was there, and then my bachelor party was about a week later. And I got an old fashioned, and I have to say, I love it. And everyone's been quick to point out that I just love things that are filled with sugar. And just this past weekend, I went to another wedding, and I got some old fashions. And last time I didn't get to see how they made it. I saw them just dump the sugar in. So now I understand why everyone just says I have a sweet tooth, and that's why I love old fashions. But
they didn't muddle it or anything?
No. It was like just pure sugar.
But
it was great. It was even better than the first few old fashions I had. I loved it. I was hooked. I was also super tipsy at that wedding off of one old fashioned because I barely had anything to drink. So anyway, we were talking about old fashions, and for whatever reason, I'm completely blanking on who brought it up on Twitter.
Yeah, so no, you brought it up. You said,
no, I didn't bring it up. One of our listeners brought it up.
Oh, because we were talking about it last week.
Yeah. So anyway, apologies if you're the one who brought it up. But we started talking about what quarterback would be the old fashioned, and we went back and forth on a few. I think eventually we settled on Tom Brady because he's like the old reliable quarterback, and I guess old fashions are old reliables. But we wanted to know, Mike and James, what would you guys say? What mixed drink is a quarterback in your opinion, and why?
So this comes from the original comment came from Elliot Christ at Elliot Christ.
No, it wasn't Elliot Christ. It was before that. Elliot Christ made his comment after us. And apologies, Elliot Christ. I'm not trying to call you out here. I thought it was cool that happened after, but it was not Elliot Christ. It was I believe his handle is Chai X Ruxin. And I'm blanking on his name for some reason. I apologize, but we're wasting way too much time on this. So, guys, what do you think the drinks are?
James, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure thing, man. Well, I tell you what. Here's what I came up with. I came up with Phillip Rivers. All right, and to me, Phillip Rivers is a guy he just always gets the job done. He's not sexy. He's not your first pick, but he's a guy that you plug in and he gets the job done, right? And so being that I'm from Chicago, I live here in Wisconsin now, but old style beer is huge here. And Phillip Rivers, to me, is an old style, man. He's not your first choice, but guess what? You knock down 12 of them and, it gets the job done. And that's Phillip Rivers, man. He's the guy that, you grab him late, you grab him as the 12th quarterback off the board, like a 12-pack, and you plug him in and you just forget about it because he's going to get the job done more times than not. So to me, Phillip Rivers is an old style. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's a really good
one.
Also, real quick, the listener and follower, he's also another fantasy writer, was Rob Schwartz Jr. Apologies that I forgot your name there for a second, Rob. I know it's even worse because we're buddies on Mario Kart or on the Switch. So I'm just a terrible person, but Mike, what do you think is a drink that you'd like to compare to a quarterback?
Okay. So it's funny that you mentioned the old style, James. I've been to Chicago once, but I'm going in the summer, and I hear that I have to have an old style beer. I've never had one, so I'm very, very interested to try 1 or 2 or 12 of those. So, but anyways, my drink is, I don't know if you guys have heard of it or not. You go up to your bartender and you ask for you won't hear that, I know that now. Anyways, you ask for a 649. Anybody know what that is?
No clue.
Is that, it has to, no, I don't know.
Okay, so here in Ontario, we have the lottery, and it's called Lotto 649, and you get random numbers. So if you go up to the bartender, and if they're a good bartender, they'll know what a 649 is. So they start off, you pick a shelf, say second shelf. And you say, start at, the bottle of Jameson. They count 6 to the left, 4 to the right, and then they go 9 more to the left. And so you don't know what you're going to get. It's just a mixture.
That sounds literally insane.
Right, it is. So
and I like it.
Wow.
My quarterback, that is a 649, the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. You just never know what you're going to get. Sometimes more times than not, he's going to be terrible, which the 649 would be. But every now and then, like once a year, he's going to surprise you and give you the game of his life. And it's going to be fantastic, which is what the drink would be as well.
That's really good. I got one. I'm afraid it's going to be borderline racist.
Oh no!
Which doesn't sound good.
Whenever
I think of Hawaii, I think of a Mai Tai, right? When I think of like a quarterback that reminds me of Hawaii, for some reason I always think of Marcus Mariota. Because he's Samoan, right?
He is, yes.
All right, so
it's not racist. Well, I mean,
I see him wearing the lei or whatever it is around his stuff, and he's just so calm. He's always got a smile on his face.
I refuse to comment on this topic.
Mai Tais, I never had a Mai Tai until my honeymoon, which was in Hawaii. Mai Tais are fucking fantastic.
They're amazing. Yeah. Put you on your ass too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I do not remember the end of that luau for sure.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So I have one too. My friend. A quick backstory. A few years ago, eating whale blubber, because that's what you do when you go to Iceland.
Was it cooked?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I was just grossed out.
That seems like a
but they bring you this drink called the Black Death, and he brought some back for me, and it's really disgusting, but it's basically to wash down how terrible whale blubber is. And I tried it, and it's really gross. So but it's also, I guess, to help you get over the fact that you're eating something or doing something gross. So in this case, I'm going to go the Black Death is Blake Bortles, because that's how everyone else feels about Blake Bortles. They go, oh, it's gross. I don't want to do it, but it's alcohol, so I guess I'm going to drink it. You're still getting points for drinking the alcohol. You're still getting points for starting Blake Bortles.
Can literally not have one episode without Blake Bortles coming up.
Nope.
Not one. Hey, also fun little thing today. Bobby and I, we started an auction league today.
I knew this was going to come up.
It's a startup auction league. You get it's a startup dynasty league, right? And you get $1,000 in this auction. So we started the auction today, and the prices of the quarterbacks are like insane right off the bat, right? You guys want to hear some of them?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, is it Superflex 2QB?
It is Superflex.
Yeah, we probably should have prefaced it with that. Yeah, Superflex. Blake Bortles is going. We're going to start with Blake Bortles. $104, which isn't like terrible. That's okay. But then we have Aaron Rodgers, $190. Let's see here. Dak Prescott, $151. He just came on the board. Marcus Mariota, $162. Here's my boy, Russell Wilson.
He's building up to this. Drum roll.
Russell Wilson's at $226 right now.
Jesus.
Wow. I tell you what, I didn't know we were going here because this is kind of cool. I just started a startup auction league, $1,000 budget, 16-team Superflex. Aaron Rodgers went for $230, and Russell Wilson went for $250 on the dot.
Wow, so I feel good about myself.
Yeah,
right
but
now.
That's 16 teams, so it's a little deeper.
That's true, 16. Mm-hmm. We also got Jimmy G. Jimmy G's at 183 right now. Carson Wentz 210. Deshaun Watson's at 180. So we'll see how this goes. Mike, would you pay 180 for Deshaun Watson in a $1,000 league?
Yeah, but I wouldn't go any higher.
Fair enough.
$1 higher, Mike is out.
It's also fair to say this is American money and not money, so maybe it's a little bit more after the exchange rate.
Yeah, that would be about probably about 240 Canadian. So
shout out to the Beat Bobby League. Actually, what it's called. I'm not making that up. Don Bosch joined the league and instantly changed the name to the Beat Bobby League, and then everyone else thought it was so funny that it just stuck. So Beat Bobby League auctioning now. Some crazy prices going on. I don't think I'm going to sleep for a while because I can never sleep when I'm in the middle of an auction. I'm afraid clocks are going to expire overnight. Even if I know they're not, it's just this weird fear. So if anyone wants to talk to us about auctions, you can shoot us a tweet or DM at AfterburnersPod. You can also tweet or DM at the Twitter handles we mentioned at the start of the show as well.
Yeah, we also have an email address now. You can send us an email at afterburnerspod at theafterburnerspod@gmail.com. Guys, we are running a little low on time, even though we control the time. So, James, as I'm sure you're aware, we have this tradition in which we burn individuals, either through fantasy or just in real life. Hey, it could be cities.
Yeah, it's not just individuals.
Yeah.
It's places, it's things, basically anything that makes you mad for the week.
Anything
this is your opportunity to talk about it and shit on it.
Indeed, 100%. So it's customary that we let the guests go first. Unless you're not ready, we can certainly go first.
Yeah, actually, I've heard you guys do it a couple times, but I wasn't sure if we were going to have time to get to it. So if you guys want to start us off, man,
we make time for it. It's the integral part of this podcast.
Real cool. Yeah, no, if you guys want to start us off, I wouldn't mind finishing it if you guys don't mind.
All right.
James wants to close it out. All right.
James at fourth.
That cleanup.
Mine, because I feel like it's really intense this week. So Mike or Sam should lead off.
Go ahead, Sam.
I'm just, I got a bad one. I know I've had some really good ones over the last 3 or 4 weeks, most of them either to cities or to me, but I got a really quick and short one. I'm just going to blame the fucking weather, all right? It is literally every it's every season this week. We had 77-degree weather on Saturday. The next day, it's 37 degrees. I can't go running in shorts. I got to put actually long sleeves on, right? What are you doing? Whether today, if you see on Facebook or you see any of those videos on social media, there's going down the steps into the subway station, and then an hour later it's like 60 degrees and sunny. Now it's windy out and freezing. What are we going to get tomorrow? Weather? I don't get it. Weather, Mother Nature, you're a fucking bitch, and you're the afterburn of the week.
Yeah, that was basically going to be mine, but because I don't want to feel like a cop-out, I'll burn the gas prices here in Ontario. I feel like I've burned them before, but I'm going to burn them again.
No, you haven't. I was just laughing because yours are always like very specific to Kitchener, Ontario.
Well, no, it's just Ontario in general. I filled up my car this morning on the way to work. $1.35 a liter. That is goddamn highway robbery.
You gotta.
I believe it's like 3.
You gotta exchange rate that one.
Yeah, $1.35 to us would be cheap.
I don't know what a liter is either.
I believe it's like 3.18 liters to gallons or something. I'm doing the conversions right.
So that's like.
Can't do math.
That would be like $3 a gallon, or like $2.75 a gallon.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't driven in forever, so
Yeah,
I don't
have
know.
a car.
I don't know what's cheap or not for gas.
Oh man.
Okay, so let's put it this way. I drive a Chevy Cruze. It's a little 4-banger of an engine. I believe it's got a 50-liter tank in it, and it cost me almost $60 Canadian to fill my tank. So
That's what, like $90 US?
No,
it'd be about
it's like
$85.
No, the exchange rate's the other way around.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it flipped. I know what you're thinking up again.
But yeah, it would be about $85 to fill up the tank.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
from my days of driving, I know that's insane.
It's like
Fuck you, gas prices.
stations.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's a good burn. F you, gas in Canada.
Problem.
For us.
So I had to get a new suit for a wedding I was going to, and I bought 3 new suits, and I left, and I came back to pick one of them up after it had been tailored. And this is the same place I'm getting my wedding suit. Gets tailored. I go in, try it on real quick. It gets tailored very quickly. And for whatever reason, they make me stand around for about an hour at the front while they make all these adjustments to my bill. And finally, they're like, okay, we're ready for you to charge your card. And I go, what are you talking about? And they go, oh, the difference in whatever we just did is going to be like $300 more. And I would say, you just made me stand around an hour without telling me what you were doing so you could charge me more money for suits that I already paid for. And by the way, the outlet, just so everyone is clear exactly what it is and knows to never shop there again in their lives, is Men's Wearhouse. Men's Wearhouse is the worst, and I only used it for my wedding since there are locations everywhere. But that's one of my biggest regrets in my life is using it, because the guys there are so incompetent. Every time I walk in, they make me stand around for an hour while they waste my time. I am not an angry person, but at one point I actually just had to walk out, go to the Dunkin' Donuts around the corner, and get an iced tea before I punch the guy in the face.
Get some sugar.
Get
I've spent
so much.
Yeah, get some more sugar. But I spent so much money there that I can't believe that's how they would treat a customer, first of all. But that's how they would treat a customer who spent that much at a single location. So if I'm going to be very specific for once, because Mike always says like the street location or whatever. So if you go to the Men's Warehouse on 33rd and Park in New York City, you have made a huge mistake and you should instantly leave.
I use the one of, like, what is it, 46th Street near Bryant Park? Man, that one's all right.
Yeah, well, I don't know. This one, don't do it, and don't talk to a guy named Saeed. He is the devil.
Goddamn Saeed.
I also feel like you waiting there for like an hour and then they still like don't even know what's going on is a perfect Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, I think Men's Warehouse.
I have to get my wedding suit. All right, James, how are you going to follow that up?
Ah, man, I don't know. All right, so here's how I'm going to follow it up. All right, I had mentioned earlier I'm in a startup auction league, right? And real quick, you guys, the league you're in, is it proxy bidding or non-proxy?
Yeah,
Proxy.
Proxy, okay. Our 16-team auction league is non-proxy, okay? So basically, for anybody who doesn't know what that basically means that you cannot set a price and say, hey, this player's at $20. I want to go up to $50 for him. You can put in $50. You'll win him for $21, $1 over his current price. And someone has to outbid your proxy, okay, your $50 to get him, okay? Every time someone does that, it resets the time. We are in a non-proxy, which means that you have that player for that dollar amount, and anybody that bids $1 over that amount gets that player, and the time resets. We have a 14-hour clock, and I am in a room with 15 other assholes, sorry, excuse my language, who all wait until there's like 2 goddamn minutes left on the clock. They bid them up for $1, and it resets the clock, so the player's on there for 14 hours. And not only does it screw the guy who had him, right? But it also screws the guy who nominated him, because you can only have 2 guys nominated at a time. So instead of being able to throw up another nomination, you have to wait another 14 goddamn hours at least. So I am stuck in a room with a bunch of assholes who are doing this on purpose, just so that way they can laugh and they find it funny. And so as soon as you think you have a player, you go to sleep, you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, you check, and that player got reset because somebody thought it would be cool to throw an extra buck on him. So it's totally sucks. I'm pretty sure I'm getting a brain aneurysm from it, and I'm done. It's one of those things where, like, man, auctions are great, but man, this one's wearing on me, dude. This one is wearing on me. So it's been a ton of fun, honestly, but I've developed a bit of an eye twitch because it's happened to me so many times, and I'm so glad I don't know any of these people in real life, because I don't know that I'd be able to not punch them. So there's my afterburner of the week.
That's a good one.
Breaking news. Carson Wentz is now in our auction the most bid on player at 226 of our $1,000 budget.
He's tied with Russell Wilson.
Sorry, he's tied with Russell Wilson. There you have it. Carson Wentz and Russell Wilson now tied. But yeah, James, that sounds terrible. I think we have, based on some personalities in our league, I think we have some guys who will 100% do similar things. I'm not going to lie, I don't wait till last minute, but I love the feeling of bidding someone up by $1 and then just getting into a bidding war with them, especially if I know them personally, because, like, for example, my friend Zach and I were going back and forth on Jimmy Garoppolo earlier, and I just know he loves Garoppolo, so it was really fun to just be like, oh, $1 more. What are you going to do, Zach? What are you going to do? You went up another $1? Fine, I go up another $1.
Proxy makes so much, like, it's so convenient so that you can just hit it and be like, all right, I don't have to come back for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
James, we were talking about the exact same thing before the show, and I know we're running out of time, so we'll wrap this up quickly. We were talking about before the show, in which, Bobby, you were like, oh, like, you have 14 hours. I was like, I don't want to wait. Like, I know what I'm going to pay for this guy. Let me just plug it in. That's why Proxy was so great.
Yeah, I agree. I like Proxy, and I also agree that waiting till the last minute just seems kind of silly, because if you know what you're going to pay, then it's going to get to that price eventually anyway, so you might as well just throw it up, hope you win the player earlier, but that's just me.
Yeah, I get the strategy. It's been explained to me several times how, if an owner has their money tied up in one player, they're less likely to bid on other players so you might be able to get some guys before that guy goes off. But man, bidding them, I mean, with 1 minute left, man, that just sucks. Especially because we had a 14-hour clock, which we've lowered. Yeah, the 14-hour clock killed it because, man, I mean, you're waiting like 3 days sometimes to nominate another player because people just keep redlining, all right, you waited till there was a minute left. Well, fuck yeah, I'm going to do the same thing, and then they do that, and then it goes back and forth. And so it's just,
I'm just hoping it's done by my wedding. Wedding is May 12th, and we're in a 14-team league with 14-hour clock. But we do have proxy, so hopefully it'll be done by May 12th. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll have to make a proxy for my proxy auction, tell them what I want to bid on, what I don't want to bid on during my wedding.
Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm bidding during your ceremony.
Oh, great.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming on, James. Definitely appreciated having you on. That was a great afterburn to close it out. I wasn't confident that you could top my suit story, but I think you did it, and you tied it back to fantasy football, which is always a good way to close out the show. Before we leave here, let everybody know where they can find you again. Mike, you do it too, and then Sam, sign us off.
Yeah, you can find me at DFF_the brain, and also you can catch me on the Super Flexible podcast. We are dropping new episodes Wednesdays and Fridays during the week, so you can always catch me and my co-hosts there.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Mike Jarvis. Basically, the only thing I'm tweeting about right now is European football because Liverpool's in the semifinal of the Champions League, so that's consuming my life right now.
Me at Rekt Fantasy, that's REKED Fantasy. You can find my work at DLF Football, 2QBs, and I am a draft day consultant. Right now, I probably won't be tweeting that much because my life is consumed by 2 ongoing auctions, but if you tweet at me, maybe I'll respond.
And don't forget to tweet us at AfterburnersPod. Subscribe, download, review, all that great stuff on iTunes. You can find me at The Needy One, and if you have any questions, don't be afraid to DM us. Tweet at us. You can also email us at theafterburnerspod@gmail.com. Find us on Podbean and Stitcher. Guys, we've had so much fun. Might sway me towards liking more the Cleveland Browns this year, James, but quite frankly, probably not. Again, thank you so much for having us on us. Guys, have a great week. Enjoy your auction drafts.
Keep it classy, Fantasy Twitter. Until next time.
I went down, 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 and the flames went